Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, Gavin and I are going to take advantage of this awesome day. We're going to take the 66 GT to O'Reilly Auto Parts to get a couple things. And hey, let me show you what I do to crank this up. All right, so Gavin will show you down here. I have a few wires hanging down here. I've got to put those back up. I had to do some wiring, and I want to make sure everything's right. And if it is, then I'll tuck everything up. So if you notice down here, I left the clutch pedal. So I didn't want to unbolt everything because one day, who knows, maybe I make this a 4-speed car again. Unlikely, but it's possible. So in 66 and I think in 65, if you had a GT, it came with the front disc brakes, you would see the little disc symbol here on the brake pedal. And so that's kind of cool, little Easter egg, so to speak. Not even really an Easter egg because they're not trying to hide it. It's like right in plain sight. But anyway, it just says, hey, I've had disc brakes. At the time, drum brakes on the front and rear would have been popular. So we have a little fire extinguisher in case the smoke tries to get out of something. And so the chrome controls here, right? Everything chrome, it doesn't work. The key, the lighter, kind of cool, right? The lights and the wipers, none of this stuff here works. Heater control, the only heat you have in here is the engine pumping it through the firewall. But right here, so this was part of a painless wiring thing. I know it's kind of weird with the sun and the shade, but this was part of painless, right? They have this relay set, and you can basically do what you want to do. Well, this is start, so this engages the starter. This is the ignition, which engages the all the ignition stuff, which is in my glove box, by the way. Electric fan. There's a place for a high pressure and low pressure fuel pump, water pump, lights, and then the accessory. This one's secret. We're not talking about that one. But anyway, and we have the Cheetah SCS shifter in here. I do not have anything wired up to it. This is an automatic transmission with a manual valve body. So I have to shift the gears, right? And it's got a pretty big stall in it, high RPM stall. The idea is that when we repower this car, it's going to get a normal AOD transmission. It's going to get a fuel injected small block Ford. And I guess I'm going to leave this controls here. Who knows, maybe I put every single thing. Maybe I rip all my wiring out and go back with all new factory wiring. Maybe I do something like that. Totally possible. And also right here, notice when I got the car, so when I first saw the car in 1983, it had a butchered up radio system in here. Someone really screwed this up. And when I got the car back, it was the same thing. I left a hole in here when I had it in 87 and 88, and then I sold it again. Well, this time when I got it back forever, they do make a patch because a lot of people would take the narrow factory radio out and then they would cut new holes and butcher it up to put in a larger radio. So I didn't want to do that. I just covered this up. Now, could we one day cut that out and put that piece in there and put a radio back in? Sure we could, but I wouldn't do that just for looks. I would just have a Bluetooth speaker and use my phone like we do anyway. The headliner, pretty cool story. So the headliner we did in 04, like the entire interior you see in this car was done in 04. If you look, there's some wrinkles back here. When I was going around Nashville Super Speedway, I realized that you need to have your windows up and not down. Yeah. The air likes to leave a vehicle in a hurry, and it was swelling the headliner up, sucking it down on top of the helmet. If you look over here on the instrument panel, I noticed today that this thing cams so hard. Some of these little screws have backed out, so I have to get some replacements right here, and maybe one over here. But what we're looking at is speedometer, water, volts, RPMs, and oil and fuel over here. So that's everything going on. If the red light comes on, that means that I have lost oil pressure. And the green light I don't have hooked up. The idea with the green light was ignition was on, but you know that's fine. But if this one comes on, that means there's a brake with the engine, with the ignition powered. That means that I've got less than 20 psi of oil pressure. That light will come on, little sensor in there. So that's it. So here's how I crank it. Now we have the hood off. Gavin can show you out of there. So I have the hood off there. Now, whenever I crank it up, depending on if it's been sitting for a while, we'll turn on the fuel pump. We'll allow it to get some, fuel pressure built. and then I will actually start to rotate the engine to get oil moving and then hit the ignition, because I do not want this thing firing up. 13.5 to 1 compression is pretty strong. I don't want it firing up without substantial oil in the bearings. The cylinder walls get coated whenever the engine starts, obviously, spinning at a higher revolution, but the bearings are our main issue. I want to make sure that the cam bearing, the lifters, and the rod and mains have substantial oil pressure. I do run about 75 psi in this when it's hot. It will drop to maybe 75 cold. It will drop to about 60 or 65 when it's hot, so not a big deal. But I did crank this up. Let's close the door and let's get ready for flight. All right, so because we cranked it up early, I'm not really worried about a lot of rotation. We're gonna hit the fuel pump. We're gonna give these two Edelbrock carburetors one little shot of gas. Now I start rotating the engine, and then I'll hit ignition. Good the audio is going to be. I ran it low fuel earlier. I turned the fuel pump off and dried the bowls out, and that's why it cranks up a little rough. So now the fuel pressure's come up, and you can hear the chop. It's got a nice real chop to it. So now we're going to turn on the water pump, and I'm not going to turn on the fan until I start to build a little heat. The electric fan, the transmission cooler will come on automatically, and let's get rolling. Okay, so Gavin and I are out for a little cruise here in the 66, and we stopped by O'Reilly Auto Parts here to say hello to our friends here. don't need those anymore. Hey everyone, well that's it for the drive on the 66 GT. Gavin, did you have fun?
Yeah.
So we found out on that drive that my accelerator pumps in the carburetors are probably they're perforated. You know, probably have holes in them, the little diaphragm. So I'm going to redo the carburetors on it, and hopefully then, with the coolant leak now fixed, we'll be ready to go. So sorry about all of our junk in our garage here. But there's the Mustang sitting in this little spot. It's going to get covered, and now it's time for me to go school this young man on how to drive a go-kart.
You so bad.
All right, here we go. Go-kart racing. That video coming up next. But thanks for checking out the video on my 66 GT. And hey, many more videos coming up working on that car. But we greatly appreciate you watching this video. If you would, hit that thumbs up for us. Subscribe to the channel. And what's that little bell thing we want them to do, right? Hit notifications, the bell icon, and hit all notifications. You'll know we go live. We do our live videos on Wednesday nights, and also all the videos that Gavin and I put out and the reviews. And we have a lot of reviews coming up. It's going to be fun. Other brands of vehicles too. I think you're going to like it. All right, everyone.
Goodbye.
See ya.